Baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And after a quick trip to St. Louis, the Royals are back home against the Houston Astros for a 3-game weekend series. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery are coming up. When the Royals last faced the Astros, they were swept in 3 games. Houston led their division by 5 games. They have since fallen into second place. Some are predicting that they will continue to fall in their division. But it was the Astros who made the first big move before the trading deadline.
Yeah, and good for them. No one expected the Astros to be any kind of a good team this season, but all of a sudden, they are pressured with their young players, their starting pitching. It's been a good job, and they made the first move. Maybe it'll help them down the way.
It was Scott Kazmir. He will start tonight. Kazmir is a Houston native, so he plays for the Astros for the first time. And in our AT&T U-verse Rewind, the last 6 times Kazmir has faced the Royals, his team have lost.
Oh, yeah. The Royals are licking their chops, and Kazmir got in the airspace of Kansas City from Oakland and goes, oh, no, not those guys again. Believe it, they've got the players. Cain's been raking lefties. Hosmer wasn't available in that last 3 games when they swept the Royals, but both of those guys are back in that lineup. Could be the same results. You hope so tonight.
And it is hot. Good hitting weather. And the Royals, before going to St. Louis, they broke out the sticks against the Pittsburgh Pirates, taking 2 out of 3.
And beyond for the Royals. Well, the Astros have a pretty good bullpen of their own. Luke Gregerson has been excellent lately for them, as he is in his last 12 outings not giving up a run. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg alongside of Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. Always enjoy talking about relievers with Monty. And the Royals, they've got the best bullpen in the majors, but the Astros, as we see in our Academy Sports an outdoor leaderboard, not too shabby either.
Well, they're not. I think the thing that really is comparable between these two teams in their bullpen is the depth that they have, and they have great guys out there, and they put up some incredible numbers, looking almost first and second, almost every category there. So especially that whip, the Astros 1.01.
We can say, though, that in July their bullpen was a 3.43 ERA. Prior to that, a 2.56. So they haven't been as well lately. But as I mentioned, Gregerson, it has not affected him. But the key is keeping the lead or getting the lead, and then that starting pitching. So in Jeremy Guthrie's case, he goes up against a team that hits a lot of home runs. How might that play out tonight?
Well, one, they're playing in this ballpark, so it'll be a little bit different. The other thing is Guthrie's 5-1 when he does not allow a home run. So hopefully Jeremy Guthrie's below the bats tonight, keep the ball out of the air.
So the good news is no Crawford boxes, no Minute Maid Park. The bad news is it is a very hot night, but Jay Guts, he usually rises to the occasion. The first of three coming up. First pitch is next.
Visit your local Chevy dealers for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. And by the Missouri Lottery, every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And it is hot. Temperatures in the mid to upper 90s in Kansas City today. Feels a lot like Houston, but we do not have the option of closing the roof. A.J. Hinch, a one-time Royal in his first year as Astros manager. They have fallen to one game back of the Angels. The Angels have won 13 of their last 16. And they're at home tonight hosting the Rangers. And here come the Astros offensively. They have hit the most home runs in the American League, but they're not just a home run hitting team. They also run. They have the most stolen bases in the league. They are 7th in the league in runs scored. Jeremy Guthrie's first pitch. And Altuve hits a 2-hopper back to the mound. Good start. 1 away. Kia will put us in the driver's seat for Jeremy Guthrie. It is July the 24th of 2015. And since this date last year, only Colin McHugh of the Astros has more wins. And Guthrie has always been, at least as a Royal, a good second half performer.
Better believe it. That's what I like about players that have good records in the second half on. They finish strong. They prepare themselves for the long season, and sometimes you don't get off to the best starts, but it's the guys who finish strong. Guthrie 20-12 after the break since 2012, since he's had a Royals uniform on. Doing a nice job. Fastball, changeup, he'll cut it. He'll cut his fastball. He's got a curve. Fastball we see anywhere from 90 to 94, 95. He's got a good two-seamer. Got some good run on it. And Drew Butera is getting the call tonight behind the plate. Salvi's getting a chill pill tonight.
Guthrie throws a lot of strikes, so he will give up hits. Doesn't walk many. 2-2 on Preston Tucker. Hit hard and past Hosmer and into right field. And Tucker's on with 1 out. Royals defensively tonight presented by Ford. Good to be back home after 1 game in St. Louis. The Royals have the 2nd most wins at home in the American League. They are 11-6 against the National League, wrapping that up yesterday. So now back to the American League, and the Royals are finishing up a stretch against some of the best teams in the game with this series against the Astros. The Pirates were in town. The Royals took 2 out of 3 in that series. Pirates had the 3rd best record in baseball. Then a game yesterday against the Cardinals. They have the best record in baseball. And now the Astros, they have the 4th best record in the American League.
They're a good team, and this young man batting 3rd in his first year in the majors. 8-game hitting streak. Carlos Correa, good hitter, good young player, all around, all the way around. Shortstop, he can do it all. And one of the reasons why A.J. Hinch hasn't hit in that 3rd spot, he's got a .389 average with runners in scoring position. Tucker at first base, not a stolen base threat. Doesn't have a bag all year.
Strike 3 called. Fastball at 91, 2 down in the 1st inning.
Home plate umpire Ryan Blackney. He's a new umpire on the block. And he called a correct pitch. That's good. Look at that nice little yee-haw ring up call he's got. 4-seamer. Nice frame job by Butera. There's the men in black. Although you hear players yell from the dugout, "Hey, blue!" Umpires up here wear black.
One 1-0 on Evan Gattis, Astros designated hitter. 2 balls and no strikes. Of all the colors to be wearing today, the color black, although Blackney should be in the shade the rest of the night. 93 degrees, but with the heat index it feels like 109. Chop to Moustakas. He gets a nice big hop, and that's that. The Astros are scoreless in the top of the first. Six-and-a-half game lead. Minnesota won last night. The Royals lost in St. Louis. The Royals have still won 12 of their last 16 games. And we told you how well they play here. The Royals won 9 of their last 11 here at Kauffman Stadium. And looks to me like another sellout tonight. Beyond Alcides Escobar as he gets a hug from Mike Moustakas and comes to the plate to face a familiar pitcher in a new uniform. Scott Kazmir, who is from Houston and was on his way to the University of Texas when he was taken in the first round by the Mets in 2002 and just acquired yesterday and now making his Astros debut.
I'm sure he flew right from Oakland here to Kansas City as they gave him the news yesterday. Oakland was at home.
Well, the league has yet to adjust to Alcides Escobar, who has swung at the first good pitch he has seen in the first inning for about 10 straight games, and he's on with a leadoff single.
Yeah, you know, even though all these teams, they know who swings at first pitches. That's part of the meetings that when they go over before each game of the series. They still like to challenge him with Escobar with a first pitch fastball most of the time. Royals know Kazmir very well. Fastball. He's got a cutter slider combination, curve, and a changeup. And the opponents aren't doing much off of him. Just 213.
Jake Marisnick is in center field. He'll bring it down. Escobar tags and hold, and Marisnick made a perfect throw to second base. Astros, among other things, are a good defensive team. They are in the top 4 in defensive runs saved. Try and get that running game going against Kazmir and Jason Castro.
Yep, he's got a nice mark. That's 4th best in the American League, that 34% of catching those runners stealing. Kazmir, though, he's good holding runners on. Got a nice slide step he'll use. Deceptive leg kick, gets the ball home fairly quick. Fastball average is about 91. He will top out around 94, 95 miles an hour. He's doing what a lot of veterans do. Taking a lot off of their pitches and learning how to pitch a little bit more consistent to contact, and he's out.
Colby Rasmus makes the play in foul ground, 2 away. Kazmir, not one of those pitchers who is typically slow out of the gate. He's only given up 2 runs in the first inning all year, and they were both unearned.
Cutters, you see those hard into righties. cutters, sliders, and sliders too, curveballs to the back leg of the righties.
Eric Hosmer with 2 down. And Kazmir gets that call from the home plate umpire Ryan Blackney.
So nice job holding averages down to both sides of the plate. However, righties have touched him up a little bit more, which is usually the case. Righties against lefties.
Good slider, no balls, 2 strikes.
Hosmer 9 for 21 in his career against Kazmir. Has had a lot of success.
Comes in tonight with a 6-game hitting streak where he's hitting over 500. Kazmir gets him on 3 pitches, so a good start for Kazmir after giving up the leadoff single to Escobar. Stadium. Fans with the ticket package getting that MU themed Royals ticket. Evan Boehm, the former Lee Summit West Titan, and we saw another Lee Summit West Titan last night in St. Louis. Trevor Rosenthal, the Cardinal closer. Evan Boehm will be a senior this year at Mizzou. Colby Rasmus will lead off the 2nd inning. We didn't see Colby Rasmus when we were in Houston. He was out for about a week. He had a painful skin condition.
Said he got bit by a spider.
Rios looking up into the remaining sunlight to make the play on Rasmus. 1 down. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Once again, that's hashtag KCDataStrongFan. Luis Valbuena. Not often you see a guy with 19 home runs acting as though he was going to fake a bunt and slash.
Well, I don't know. He's been scuffing a little bit as far as the long ball goes. He hadn't homered in his last 17 games. And speaking of homers, Jeremy Guthrie has done a really good job. His last 4 starts, he's only given up 1 homer. And that's usually the key for Guthrie that sinks him. Lefties have had the more power than the righties. When he doesn't give up a homer, he's 5-1. So keep that ball in the yard.
One and two on Valbuena. His 19 home runs are a career high. Trying to tie him up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Valbuena, he's an excellent off-speed hitter. I mean, he waits for mistakes that are soft out over the plate. And that's why Guthrie's and Butera working him in.
A lot of that. A lot of makeshift fans. Whatever you can get your hand on to keep the face cool. 93 degrees at first pitch. That's a painful walk for Guthrie. He was ahead 0-2 on Valbuena. Just the 30th walk this year for Guthrie. John Singleton, Astro first baseman. He had just been called up from the minor leagues when the Royals were in Houston. Now Butera is going to go out and have a chat with Guthrie. On behalf of Major League Baseball, we salute all of Cooperstown, New York on its Hall of Fame weekend and offer congratulations to this year's award winners and to the 2015 National Baseball Hall of Fame inductees and their families. It's a big weekend for fans in Houston as Craig Biggio is among the inductees this year. Former Astros catcher, then second baseman, and even played some in the outfield.
Had the opportunity to play against him in his first year when he was catching. He was a good catcher. And a good athlete, you know, and then after a while had a catching prospect came around, and then they moved him to second base. He played center field. Basically he played, Biggio did, wherever they asked him to. Really a great all-around player. Guthrie's induced 5 double plays this year.
Way out in front.
Won't need to this time. He got the punch out. Change-up, it was not where Guthrie wanted it. He was up a little bit, but the timing was enough to take it off from his fastball to his changeup that he got him out ahead of it.
Now the catcher Jason Castro, and that's out into right center field. Valbuena will make the turn. CAIN plays it to second base. A couple of former Stanford Cardinal, Jeremy Guthrie and Jason Castro, runners at first and third with 2 down.
Castro swinging early, and that ball's out over the middle of the plate.
That makes Castro 5 out of 13 against Guthrie. And now the center fielder Jake Marisnick. He was on the disabled list when the Royals and Astros played late June, early July. Coming over in a trade with the Marlins. Very good defensive outfielder. Guthrie nails the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. You're talking about Biggio bouncing around different positions, and I looked it up. He's the only player in history to be an all-star at catcher and second base. So he didn't just play those positions, he played them very well. And 2 completely different positions as far as what you'd expect. Mobility. High and inside. Well, the Astros, we told you, they lead the league in home runs, and Guthrie really looks like he's trying to tie them up, not allow them to get their arms extended. He has missed several times inside, trying to come in there again, and Marisnick gets jammed and pulls it foul.
Marisnick, he's got a little pop. He's got 5 homers, only 9 doubles. It's just 218 at bats. He's been out with a little bit of injury problems, but he's a speed guy.
Slider struck him out. Guthrie has struck out 3 in the first 2 innings, and the Astros leave 2 in the second. Nice action. Saturday, August 15th for Retro Nights, as we're bringing back the 1980s with this totally wicked event. That's what the script says. Featuring a pregame concert from the popular 80s cover band The Zeros, live organ music throughout the game, and other special programming saluting this iconic time period in baseball. Plus, the first 10,000 fans through the gates will receive this powder blue replica retro jersey, courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City. For those of you who watched the game last night, saw the Royals in the vintage powder blues. We were looking back to 1985, not just the powder blue jersey, but the powder blue pants. Marisnick toward right center field to take care of Kendrys Morales. Good to see him back in the starting lineup. And now Alex Rios with his 6-game hitting streak. And as you enjoy a cold one tonight, we encourage you to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, when Alex Gordon went down, we said somebody's going to have to pick up the slack. Not just one guy, but more than one guy. And Alex Rios has taken on some of that with a .383 batting average since Alex Gordon went down.
Nice to see. That's exactly what you do, because injuries happen to even your best players. Alex, good to see him out on the field today. That's Alex Gordon. That was out there playing a little catch.
Good changeup. That was a swing. Trip Gibson, the first base umpire.
Speaking of the powder blues, there they were last night on display. Rios getting them dirty. Nice play. Good timing.
Fastball at 94 is outside. A lot of history between these two. Alex Rios has 52 at-bats against Scott Kazmir. Full count. Twelve hits, so a .231 average. Rios has taken Kazmir deep once. Well hit again, but Marisnick is right there. So Rios continues to swing the bat well. 2 down in the second inning.
Everything has slowed down for him. And listening to him with Joel and Monty on the pregame show today, he said, what we say they say, I'm seeing the ball better. Typical response from a guy and an answer from somebody who's heating up. And when you do interview them when they're not going so well, I'm not seeing the ball so well. And that's obviously talking about picking up the release point.
Infante has done well against Kazmir. Very well. 417 with 2 home runs.
Four doubles to go with those. Kazmir, speaking about release point, you know, he's got a very smooth, fluid delivery. Nice high leg kick. Sometimes he'll slow his arm swing down on a changeup. I don't know if hitters can pick it up that well, but there it is there. It's a beauty. That's a pitch he'll go to.
Wants to go back to that same pitch. Castro put down the 4 fingers, and Kazmir came back with a fastball.
Once Royals start getting into scoring position, right-handed batters will see a lot more of those changeups.
And that's well hit to right center field, slicing away from Marisnick, and he makes a diving play. So Jake Marisnick, one-man Astros defense in the bottom of the second inning. Speaking of Astros, J.R. Richard, remember him? He'll be with Joel when we come back.
Some of this video of one of the great pitchers of the late 70s up to 1980, back-to-back 300 strikeout seasons. J.R. Richards, 6'8", 220, was absolutely dominant on the mound. And we are so excited right now, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, to be joined by the great J.R. Richard. He's in town. He's going to be signing books and speaking with folks at the Negro Leagues Museum tomorrow. The book, Still Throwing Heat, Strikeouts, the Streets, and a Second Chance. Great to have you here in Kansas City. How much do you enjoy being able to come here, going over to the Negro Leagues Museum?
I'm loving it. I always have admired the Negro Museum every time I come here, and you can't meet an individual no better than the director himself.
Right, Bob Kendrick. And for you, you know, there's obviously a great story to tell. I want to go back to 1980, one of the dominant pitchers in baseball. You'd had back-to-back 300 strikeout seasons, but you weren't during that season feeling right. Tell us what was going on.
Well, what come to the conclusion was that I had they call it a thoracic syndrome outlet. In layman terms, it's a simple blood clot. And the doctor told me that I was such a powerful pitcher that my muscles in my right shoulder had overdeveloped. But getting back to your questions, I had complained to the Astros for maybe a month or more about I'm not feeling well, something is wrong. And I couldn't pinpoint myself about what was wrong. But as I found out later on, I didn't have one stroke, I had 3 strokes. So it was really a hindrance, and which kind of go to show how much they felt about one of the star sport of the beast ball players.
Jerry, I grew up watching a lot of National League Baseball, watching you pitch a lot during those 70s. And one thing I was always amazed about, you obviously were a very big man, but your hands were so large. The baseball actually kind of looked like it was a ping pong ball or a golf ball size in your hand. How were you able to control the baseball with such large hands?
Well, having large hands at that time was an asset, and I had learned over the years to control it. And matter of fact, with large hands, you put extra movement on the baseball.
Well, let's just see here real quick. Let's measure up those hands. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's some of the biggest hands that I have ever seen. And, you know, JR, going back to that time, I mean, you were one of the greats in baseball. And then I know you went on the disabled list. You would come out of a game after a few innings, reading this in your book, and you didn't quite feel right. And people were wondering, there's a shot to deep right field, and that is going to be gone. Preston Tucker, who has been hot lately, has 3 home runs already this week, goes deep, so it is 1-0 as Jeremy Guthrie lamenting that one. But you go on the disabled list, 21-day DL, I think, back then, and on a day where you come in, the team's out of town, you end up having that stroke. Take us through that day and what you remember.
Well, that day was, as far as I can remember, the team was getting ready to go out of town on a road trip that day. And I was pitching with a friend of mine named Wilbur Howard. I was working out, and it was a loud, high-pitched tone ringing in my left ear, which I never thought anything about. I just shook it off and kept it on. Then, and a few minutes later on, my equilibrium was off. I couldn't stand up. So I said, well, what in the world is going on with myself, talking to myself like that? And then all of a sudden, I lay down on the Astrodome floor, and Wilbur Howard come in and kept putting cold towels on my forehead, saying, are you all right? Are you all right? And I'm saying to myself, now what in the world do you think? So that's basically how it had happened, I think. But it started in Chicago, Illinois. And if I would have been such a valuable asset to the ball club, why wasn't I taken to the doctor in Chicago, Illinois? That makes you think. People don't really care about you. They just love you for what you do. That's it.
Right, and reading in your book, a lot of your teammates were wondering, wait a minute, what's with this guy? And in the world of baseball or sports, sometimes it's, you know, get out there and grind through it, yet there was so much more going on with you.
Well, it's a bandwagon type thing. Everybody want to jump on a bandwagon and say, okay, this is right, this is what's wrong. But I always say this, if you know you're right, if I know you're right, why argue with somebody about it? It's not going to prove a point. It's just stay with the facts. You know what you know, because nothing in the world, nobody in the world know their body better than you. But another thing I want to bring up, it's amazing that I have to come to Kansas City, Missouri to get a baseball team to talk about my book, and I played the Houston Astros right there in time.
Right. Well, I mean, we're thrilled to have you here, Monty.
Yeah, and I think, Jared, just learning about your story after your baseball career, you went through some very difficult times, and the fact that you're back on track with your life, step us through a little bit about what you've been through.
Well, that time, I think those times, I'm going to say it like this, those times is good to me because I got a chance to meet God instead of, because a lot of times when I was playing baseball, I was professing God, but I didn't possess God. Now I got a chance to possess him. And you know, sometimes God want to get you by yourself so he can have your undivided attention. And that was the case. He wanted to get my attention.
So he did get your attention, and here you were. You'd made some money, but life isn't always easy for folks after baseball. It had been taken away from you, and in reading in the book, and the story's been out there, of course, that you were bouncing from friend's house to friend's house, didn't have any money left, felt like maybe, you know, you'd worn out your welcome in some places. For those that don't know the story, tell us, as you talk about being alone with God, tell us where you were living at that one point after living with friends. Well,
I was staying at the Beach Nut at 59 and Beach Nut, there under the bridge. But through it all, regardless of what had happened, life still goes on. The sun doesn't stop because you fell down on your bottom the day after day, the next day or the day after. Time and life keep going on. So it's up to you to get up. You get up and live. You learn how to get up and live, or you learn how to lay down and die.
And now you're an active minister and very active in the community in the Houston area, correct?
Yes, I am, because I'm at the point where I'm trying to give back, give back to the community, and tell somebody about the way to go or the thing to do so it will not happen to you. But see, most people don't really even realize it, but they are 1 or 2 paychecks from being homeless themselves.
From one of the best in the major leagues to not too soon afterwards being homeless to back and living a good life. Folks can go see J.R. Richard tomorrow at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. We're thrilled to have you here in Kansas City. Thanks for sharing your story.
I enjoyed it. Appreciate it very much, sir.
All right, guys, that is J.R. Richard. You guys remember one of the great, dominant, hard-throwing pitchers of the late 70s.
Thank you, Joel. Yeah, I mean, watching some of that footage, and I remember it very well, being from Los Angeles. The footage we showed you was the All-Star game at Dodger Stadium, and J.R. Richard, you had to, in those days, you really had to follow the game closely. There was not a lot of national TV. There weren't a lot of national highlight shows, but we'd hear a lot about J.R. Richard. I'd see him on TV when the Dodgers would play the Astros, and then there he was on the national stage in the All-Star game, just mowing down hitters one after another. Valbuena hits it hard, and CAIN makes the play in center field. Shouts out number 2, and then as a kid, 9 or 10 years old, you probably remember, Hud, the word that J.R. Richard had a stroke, and it just didn't register.
Yeah, interesting to hear from J.R. I'd like to read the book. It's encouraging, really, and what he's doing now to try to encourage people before it happens to them and trying to give back. Gotta love that, what he's doing. He's got some stuff. Look at that, making Reggie Jackson almost fall down. Hitter before that, hitter stepped in the bucket on a fastball at about 100, and he was totally off.
That high leg kick, if J.R. Richard were pitching in a mirror, remind you of anybody? Facing the same guy? A little different style pitcher, but same result against Reggie Jackson.
Right, and I'm looking at Reggie's stance. He had 2 different stances for each one of those, righties and lefties. He's a little bit more open against split. Closed off against JR. Interesting. Usually it's the other way around. Anyway, Guthrie trying to work his way out of this inning here.
On in front of the plate, Guthrie picks it up, and that's the inning. So Tucker homers, Rasmus drives in a run with a single. Royals coming up in the bottom of the 3rd inning, down 2-0.
kudos to Sammy Abramson for seeing the leg kick. And Ryan, you very correctly pointed out two very different types of pitchers from the left side and the right side. One the power pitcher, the other not. JR looked at that one and said, oh, that ain't no thing. Next question. The competitiveness is still there. I think he's a guy that would love to still get out there and pitch. Yes, very different types of pitchers indeed.
Nice job, by the way, Joel. Scott Kazmir, in his Astros debut, has a 2-0 lead. The Houston native still calls Houston home, and now pitching with the hometown team. He allowed a single to Escobar in the first inning, and now has retired 6 straight. Paulo Orlando getting the start with a left-hand pitcher on the mound.
And his new offense showing him a little love, giving him a couple runs here early. Royals, though, they have a .273 batting average against lefties this year. That's 3rd best in the American League. Only the Jays, Blue Jays, and the Tigers have better numbers against lefties. Paulo Orlando, they're playing him straight up, and they should. Paulo's a guy who tries to hit that ball in the middle of the field. Been a while since he's hit a triple.
Castro and Valbuena, and it's Valbuena bringing it down. Kazmir's retired the last 7. Oh, we told you it's MU night tonight at Kauffman Stadium. On Saturday, August 8th, it'll be Huskers night as the Royals host the White Sox, and the first 6,000 fans who bring their Huskers night ticket to a designated table receive this limited edition Huskers styled Royals cap courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City and Rally House. And you can get this ticket package at royals.com/special events. Drew Butera hits it in the air to center field, and Marisnick, who had a busy bottom of the 2nd inning, takes care of Butera, and there are 2 down.
Kazmir getting some early count outs.
There are the MU styled Royals caps here tonight.
Yeah, I need a couple of those hats right there. Got a request from some friends of the family. They said, is there any chance you can get some MU hats? And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I hope they bring some up here. They're all popular. I love how the Royals take care of all the colleges around the area and their fans.
First time through, Royals were 1 for 9 against Kazmir. He's tough first time through. He's tough 2nd and 3rd time through the order.
Well, you think the Houston Astros before this season was the last team that anybody would think would be, after the All-Star break, pushing for first place, but here they are, the first team that makes the first move to go out and get a starting pitcher.
Correa deep short. He has a strong arm. Out at first base. I think the Royals want to take a look at that. Singleton left his feet, and first base umpire Trip Gibson felt like he got back down to the bag before Escobar arrived. Don Wakamatsu on the phone with Bill Duplessis as Billy goes through the relevant angles, and Royals believe that Trip Gibson was correct.
Great play by Correa.
Good call. last name to spell.
It is, but you know what? You gotta love the Lefevre fever.
Good work, and we thank you for that,
sir. I don't agree with you necessarily. I got a beautiful wife, but really, he wants to
what does that sign have to do with Jennifer?
Well, he wants to be me, but he can't have my wife.
That poor guy made a nice sign that said he wants to be you when you grow up, and you're
when he
want
grows
to fight the guy because you think he's
I think he's
making advances at Jennifer.
He's seen a picture of her, I think.
What are you talking about?
Anyway,
somebody get Jennifer on the line, please. Oh boy. Jason Castro has 13 at-bats against Jeremy Guthrie and 5 hits, 2 home runs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Castro singled in the 2nd inning. Astros got both of their runs in the 3rd. Preston Tucker homered, and then Colby Rasmus drove in a run with a single. Two balls, 2 strikes. Stanford is well represented tonight. Jason Castro, former Stanford Cardinal, so is Jeremy Guthrie, and so is Astros manager A.J. Hinch. 3 balls, 2 strikes. A.J. Hinch signed by the A's, traded to the Royals. Played here in 2001, 2002, part of the Johnny Damon trade. Castro, then Jake Marisnick, the number 9 hitter, and Jose Altuve. Right to Hosmer, but he hit it right on the nose again. So we were talking about hot hitters seeing the ball well, and Castro does that when he faces Guthrie.
You know, Jeremy is good when he's on the corners, but when he's in the middle, it doesn't seem to matter what pitch it is, they can get the bat on him. And that goes for most pitchers. And they all try to hit the corners, but they're only human and they make mistakes, and that's what hitters thrive on.
Good breaking ball for a strike to Jake Marisnick. I remember 2 years ago, the Marlins were here. Marisnick was playing for them. He made 2 really good plays in one game, and there's a diving catch against Omar Infante tonight in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Two balls and 1 strike.
Guthrie's curveball, it's a beauty. He threw that first pitch strike, and that's the lowest opponent average on that pitch that he has out of the 4. Ooh, nice spot there. Just 167 hitters are hitting on that curveball. Now Guthrie throws that the least amount of times as the others, but when he commands that pitch, it's a beauty. It's right over the top. Hard breaker down.
And that's up the right field line. Rios will play it off the corner, and Marisnick's having a heck of a night. He's at second base with 1 out, and that's the Astros' 6th hit. Houston Astros coming to Kansas City, having swept the Boston Red Sox in a 4-game series thanks to this walk-off home run from Jose Altuve last night. And when he wins, personally, as far as putting up numbers, more times than not, the Astros win.
He's going to put the ball in play. 2nd in the American League and hardest to strike out. He's going to hit it somewhere, and with the runner at second base and beyond, he's hitting .333. See that there? The team as overall, they're not exactly beating the walls down. They're only hitting .248 as the team. There he goes.
Throw was to the foul side of third base, and Marisnick swipes third. And we mentioned they are not just a power hitting team, the Houston Astros, they also lead the league in stolen bases. That is their 74th.
Marisnick with an excellent jump. The only chance they had is that ball was on the bag for Moose. On the dugout side. Too tough to make the tag and reach around. Infield in.
Crack bat, but infield in and down for a base hit. Alcides Escobar could have caught that ball barehanded if the infield was back, but he got a pitch up, got enough of it, drives in his 43rd run, and now Kazmir and the Astros lead 3-0. So the stolen base is a big item. Marisnick scoring on the Altuve blooper.
You know, and that's an excellent pitch recognition on Altuve's part. He saw the infielders in. It was a high fastball. All he had to do was try to hit it squarely, even though it took his bat and broke it. That's exactly what he wanted to do. Just lay it out there.
Well, Preston Tucker, man, is he red hot. That's over Orlando's head. Third hit for Tucker. And now Altuve to the plate. A good throw could get him. On the money, out at the plate.
Third base coach Gary Pettis couldn't realize how good the Royals are, I guess, on their relay throws, and Escobar, once he got it, and Altuve wasn't even halfway, and again Paulo Orlando gets it to him quickly. Escobar looked up, one hop, perfect throw with a tremendous cannon on the money, honey, just like you said, Rhino. And then I watched Escobar, and he stuck out his index finger and wagged it like, you can't go on me. He got him by plenty.
Here's a little hometown involved there. Two Venezuelans. Maybe some trash talking going on. So it's still 3-0 Houston. The Astros that close to making it a 4-0 lead in the fourth inning. Tucker is now a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. Carlos Correa struck out in the first inning and then walked and scored in the third. The Astros already have 8 hits. And now it's 1-1 to Correa.
Well, they're swinging. Guthrie's missing out over the plate, and big league hitters don't miss those most of the time, especially when you get hot.
One and two on Correa.
Tucker, he's in the right ballpark if all he needs is a triple for the cycle. He took a little off there, a nice little slider. Correa, he's got a little hitting streak going on. He's got an 8-gamer.
Career high for him. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I guess it's not a little hitting streak for him. If it's a career high, it's pretty good.
First overall pick in the 2012 draft, Carlos Correa out of Puerto Rico. And that's into left center field, so the Astros get a 4th run anyway. 4 runs, 9 hits against Guthrie in 3 2/3 innings. And now Correa has a 9-game hitting streak.
Gutierrez setting up inside. You see where it was. Another pitch out over the middle. So Guthrie just having some command issues. Not able to hit the corners like he wants.
He got knocked around on Saturday at Chicago, but what he was able to do in that game was avoid big innings. Gave up 3 runs in 5 innings, 9 hits, and a walk. So 10 base runners in 5 innings against the White Sox, but they only got 1 run in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and stranded 6 runners in those innings. But the Astros stranded 2 in the 2nd and then scored 2 in the 3rd and have added 2 more in the 4th. And now Evan Gattis, dangerous hitter with 16 home runs and 57 RBIs.
I'm sure the Astros, when they heard the news before the game, their entire team had a nice little lift. That's what acquiring a pitcher like Kazmir's ability, that's what that does to your clubhouse for the game. Then the walk-off homer. I mean, that, even though they got in about 2 o'clock in the morning here in Kansas City after their game, they still are charged, and now they're helping out their new guy, being very aggressive on Guthrie. And if you're a starting pitcher and you're new to the team like Kazmir, that's good that you're getting out there. You don't have 3 or 4 days to wait. He was scheduled to start yesterday for Oakland, and the fact that he's comes right here, joins the team, stays in his pitching mode, goes out and performs, keeps him nice and relaxed. Same game, different uniform. And he's familiar with the Royals offense.
Tied him up. Orlando charging in. Paulo Orlando had it in his glove, and the momentum of his glove coming forward after hitting the grass, and flung it out in front of him to give Gaddis a base hit. Correa stops at third.
I didn't think there was any way he could even get to that ball, but his speed, his closing speed, was impressive. Jam shot, see how deep he was on Gaddis, and just couldn't quite push his glove forward, and it got caught. And he tried to pick it up and lift it up, and almost just flipped out of the end. Great try.
So first and third, 2 down to Rasmus, who has driven in a run tonight, and now that's well hit into left field, but Orlando is there, and that ends the inning. 2 runs for the Astros in the fourth. They have 10 hits in the first 4 innings. Now the Royals will try and get going against Scott Kazmir, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer coming up. Online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Jeep, find your summer of adventure with great deals at the Jeep Summer Clearance event. Houston Astros have won 6 straight against the Royals going back to last year, and they have 4 runs, 10 hits in the first 4 innings. On the other side, Scott Kazmir, making his Astros debut, has allowed no runs and 1 hit. He has retired the last 9 Royals, and we'll get Moustakas, Cain, and Hosmer in the bottom of the 4th inning. Mike Moustakas flying out to center field in the 1st inning.
Astros are on their 3rd time through the lineup. Royals just starting their 2nd time through on Kazmir. He's been dealing.
Mixing his pitches, fastball, changeup, curveball, and some cutters in on righties.
And 2 7-pitch innings. On an 0-2 pitch, Moustakas to center field, and Marisnick had to go in full defense mode. And that's Moustakas' first hit this year against the Astros. He'd been 0 for 13. And good time for it here with the Royals down 4-0 and getting the leadoff man on.
Well, Marisnick is fortunate he's able to keep that ball in front of him. That gets by him, and that is at least 3 bases for Moose. Oh, man, he did a good job. Once you misjudge that and you're coming in all the way on that as an outfielder, and at the last minute you're going to do all you can to just keep that ball in front. He did a nice job recovering.
By the way, with that base hit, Mike Moustakas has more hits now than he did all of last year. And in about 130 fewer at-bats. CAIN takes high and away 2-0. Mike Moustakas has 98 hits and 328 at-bats this year. Last year he had 97 hits in 457 at-bats.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a beautiful thing. And that hit up the middle, that's nice. Squared it up perfectly. Ooh, Locaine, he's looking to do some damage with that swing. And he's been pummeling left-handers this year to 367 clip coming in. That's 3rd best against lefties in the league. Also 13 doubles, 4 homers against lefties. That was his power swing.
Another good swing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We had some fireworks, remember, early in the season with the Royals and the A's. Began with the Brett Lowry slide into Alcides Escobar, and then in the final game of the series, Scott Kazmir hit Lorenzo Cain with a pitch right around his knee, below his knee, and that led to Herrera and Laurie having an incident which led to bench clearing and suspensions. Now, I've had a few pitchers, major league pitchers, tell me, pitchers who have the credentials, say that, and I'm not accusing Scott Kazmir of anything, so there's the disclaimer, but that some pitchers will throw at a hitter's feet or lower legs on purpose and use the excuse, well, if I wanted to hit him, I wouldn't hit him on the knee or I wouldn't hit him on the leg.
With a breaking ball.
Marisnick makes the play in center field. So 1 down in the 4th inning, and now Eric Hosmer coming up. Sundays at Kauffman Stadium have something for the entire family, and prior to every Sunday home game, Family Fun Day will feature face painters and balloon artists, an entertaining DJ, player autographs atop the Royals dugout, and then after the game, kids under 14 can run the bases during the Skippy Fun Run. And the first 500 kids in line get a Skippy t-shirt. Day after tomorrow, our next Family Fun Day Sunday. Down and away to Eric Hosmer. Kazmir struck him out in the 1st inning.
You know, we've talked about Rio stepping up his production since Gordon's been out, but this guy Eric Hosmer here, he's been doing his share too of picking up the slack.
Eric Hosmer, our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda. Since July 9th, that was the first game without Alex Gordon. Eric Hosmer and Alex Rios picking up the slack, going back to that date. 2 of the 5 best batting averages in either league. 3 balls, no strikes. Three and 1. Kazmir got Hosmer with a slider down and away in the first inning.
That was a good take. We saw Moose hit a 3-0 home run a few games ago, but when you're down by 4 and you got Morales on deck, it's okay to take a pitch there and see if he walks you.
Full count. Dave Holtzman looked it up. The hottest first pitch temperature that Kazmir had before tonight was 80 degrees. 93 with a heat index of 109. Now he is from Houston, but even when you pitch in Houston, you're pitching indoors, and looks like the heat is getting to him, and after the walk took a little stroll behind the mound just to catch his breath.
Yeah, and you know, he's used to pitching in Oakland, his home games, where it's always nice and cool there. But I noticed when he took the mound this inning how he was doing a lot of deep breathing after his warm-up pitches, and so I'm sure it's affecting all of them. And in Joel and Monty's interview with Rios, they talked about the heat, and Rios being raised in tropical climate like he was, he said it's still, heat has an effect on you. It takes your energy, it zaps you.
Changeup got away from him. Morales flied to center in the second inning. Borderline pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, if you watch Morales in between pitches, he doesn't even step out of the batter's box. He just takes his left foot and squares it up with his other one and waits.
Not far enough away for Moustakas to go to third.
Tuve had a good ball to handle. He just tried to be too quick with the tag. Time for a big hit. Get these Royals on the board. Get him back in it.
One and 2. Higher batting average on this side of the plate, more home runs and RBIs on the other side where he has more at bats. Two and 2. Right field, Rasmus is back. Moustakas tags, and he'll go to third. And runners in the corners with 2 down. And now Alex Rios with his 6-game hitting streak. We remind you to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com. And you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Rios in his first at bat in the second inning, line to the center fielder MARISNICK in his 53rd career at bat against Kazmir. Oh and 1. Big crowd here tonight. Two good teams. Buck night, Friday night fireworks. Royals down 4-0 in the fourth inning. A little bit outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals still have the best record in the American League. The Astros have the 4th best record in the American League. Curveball, and he got the call. An off-speed curveball, just 72 miles an hour.
Boy, that's a good pitch to hit if you're looking for it.
To center field. And MARISNICK is there. So a good start for the Royals. They had 2 on, 1 out. Scott Kazmir gets out of it. He has 4 scoreless innings. Summer of performance with great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. And it is 100% summer here tonight. 93 degrees at first pitch, 109 degrees with the heat index. Houston Astros have 4 runs, 10 hits in the first 4 innings, and they have left 7 on base, so it could be worse than that. Luis Valbuena will lead off the 5th inning. The Astros have hit 1 home run tonight, Preston Tucker in the 3rd inning, giving them 10 more than the Blue Jays, our Toyota League leaders. 4 of the top 5 teams are from the American League. Valbuena has a career high 19 already this year.
And it helps they have a nice home ballpark. Good and cozy home run hitters park. But they got some guys that swing for the fences, and they got some pretty good power in there. Take nothing away from them.
Valbuena's previous career high was 16 last year with the Cubs. He played for Dale Swaim while he was in Chicago. Lorenzo Cain back all the way to the track and in front of the wall to get Valbuena. Second time he's hit the ball hard to Cain. One down in the top of the 5th.
Warm, humid nights, ball carries. It's kind of almost looked like a pop-up going off the bat, but carried all the way to the 410 mark. Quick peek at the last minute to the wall. Lorenzo Cain took his eye off of it, knew exactly where he was.
John Singleton is 0 for 2 against Guthrie. That was a swing, and now no balls, 2 strikes.
Remember in 2012, Lorenzo Cain would just crash and burn. Had a hard time stopping before he hit the wall, and as a result went on the disabled list a few times. But he got a lot better at knowing exactly where he is, and it helped that Trevor Vance put an extra 5 feet on the warning track. We've talked about that before, but he's done a marvelous job ever since then, staying healthy.
Yeah, that 2012 season, that was very early in the year. It was in Oakland, wasn't it? The second series of the year when he went slamming into the center field wall, and that wiped out a big chunk of that season. Butera wanted that pitch. A little bit inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pulled foul. A couple of off seasons ago, Lorenzo Cain trained with Al Hobson, who's the head coach for track and field and cross country at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, who once coached Maurice Green on his running technique and leg strength. The offseason after 2012, also with Rodney Christensen, who's a trainer at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And that will happen sometimes. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but for a guy who runs not only as fast as Cain does, but as hard as he does, as much effort he puts into it. Lorenzo even said after that offseason, he's just such a good natural athlete, but nobody really taught him how to run correctly as a baseball player.
No, and that's smart for Lorenzo Cain to look out, reach out for some help in that department, because it is helpful. I remember the Angels hired a track specialist to come to the ballpark and work with the Angels when I was a player there, and a lot of the players were like, "Oh, really? Who is this guy? Come on!" And he taught me a method of holding your hands straight out, and when you run to first base after you make contact, you know, pointing your fingers straight forward and pushing them forward, and it really helped.
All right, so show the folks what you're talking about here.
Yeah, it helped a lot, because a lot of times when you run to first base, you're running hard at 90 feet. But I was running like this uphill. He was teaching me to reach to your pockets and push it forward, and pockets, forward, forward, forward. You're pushing forward and you're running forward. It makes sense instead of running uphill. So anybody that could help me get a little extra edge on getting that extra base hit to first base, that was valuable information. So it's good for Lorenzo Cain to seek out a professional's help.
Boy, this is a tough time of night. The ball can get lost up against the sky, but Paulo Orlando sees it and gets John Singleton for the second out. That time of night where a rubbed up baseball blends in with the tone of the sky at 8:32 at summertime. So 2 down to Jason Castro, who's had 2 good swings against Guthrie. Cain gets turned around and has plenty of room to make the play. So Guthrie needed a 1-2-3 inning. He got it. He is at 94 pitches. Astros lead 4-0 to the bottom of the 5th.
The pitch. There's a drive to deep right field. Back goes Kemp at the wall. Home run. And they're going to claim that Brett's bat is illegal. Billy Martin is out of the dugout. They're looking George Brett's bat over. Now they're called George Brett out, and here comes an argument. Here comes an argument. George Brett at the plate. Oh, and he is furious. He's trying to get to an umpire. George Brett may have already been suspended. Dick Hauser out arguing. George Brett came charging out of the dugout. The Royals have lost the home run in the ball game. And George Brett is furious at the plate umpire, Tim McClellan. This game is over, and the Royals have lost it.
Can you believe that was 32 years ago? Wow. I've learned so much about that since coming to Kansas City. Now, I was 11 years old when I saw that happen, you know, days afterward, and I remember thinking, man, that guy's mad. George would say that the reason he was so upset is he felt as though he was being accused of using a corked bat, and was not aware at the time that they were questioning the pine tar. The Royals protested, and 7 days later, American League President Lee McPhail overturned the call. And then later that summer, the game resumed, and the Royals closed out a 5-4 win. They had to wait nearly a month to get that win.
First time that I just watched that, and for the first time I realized Goose Gossage that throws, you know, mid to upper 90s. That ball was at George's neck, is his head. How did he Tommy hawk that out? I mean, that's some quick bat right there.
It was only a little bit higher than the ball that George hit against Gossage in the 1980 American League Championship Series. Those two had quite a history. Those two teams had quite a history. 3-2 on Omar Infante. Infante puts it where Marisnick can't get it. The Royals have the leadoff man on in a second straight inning. Now Paulo Orlando coming up. We take a look at our DraftKings players to watch. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal to play fantasy baseball for free. Alex Rios on the list today. 0 for 2. One of his hits was a line out to center field. And Zach Greinke, congratulations to the new father, Zach Brinke and his wife Emily. They had a little boy. So he's missing a start, and he's also working on history with a long consecutive innings scoreless streak. 0-1 on Paulo Orlando.
Understand the little boy's name is Bodie.
B-O-D-E.
Congratulations.
Royals had 2 on 1 out in the 4th inning against Casimir, and he was able to get Morales and Rios on fly balls. Paulo Orlando fouled out to 3rd in the 3rd inning. Tim McClellan is now a retired umpire. He was a young umpire back in 1983. And the confusion over the ruling with the pine tar, the way it was explained to me, is that hitters were allowing their pine tar to go up the bat, and it seems odd today because any foul ball ends up in the stands. I mean, any foul ball becomes a souvenir, but back then, you remember, they tried to save the baseballs and use them for batting practice, and players would get fined if they would throw balls into the stands, because that was money. That was money out of the owner's pockets, giving away balls that might otherwise stay in the game, if not become a batting practice ball. So the pine tar is going up the bat. A lot of balls are getting pine tar on them and had to be removed from the game. The owners were upset. They narrowed the problem down to pine tar too far up the bat. That made bats illegal, but it didn't mean the batter would be out. It just made the bat illegal. Paulo Orlando strikes out. So there was the confusion. Tim McClellan was right that George Brett used an illegal bat, but he did not have the authority to declare George Brett out using an illegal bat. And the flaw for Billy Martin and the Yankees there was they were too late. They should have gone to Tim McClellan as George came up to the plate and started his at bat and made him get a new bat before the first pitch.
And you know, some teams would have a guy sitting in the stands watching batting practice and taking notes on who was throwing balls into the stands. And then I remember you would be approached and say, hey, look, we don't want you throwing any balls in the stands. And then after '94, the strike where they missed the World Series, after that they said, look, throw the balls to the fans. We want the fans to come back. So it all changed.
Oh, 2 on Drew Butera. You hardly ever see it anymore now, Hud, but it used to be a pitch would be in the dirt. The umpire would look at it. He would inspect the baseball. If there was a little scuff or a little dirt, he'd rub it off and put it back in his ball bag. Now, umpires hardly even look at it. They just get rid of the baseball. I remember as a bat boy, and balls would be fouled into the screen, it was our job to do the same thing. You'd go back and you'd run to the screen, get the ball, bring it back, and it was our job to look at the ball and decide whether it could be returned to the umpire or go into the batting practice bag. But it never went into the crowd. Butera down on strikes. 2 for Casimir in this inning and 3 in the game.
Casimir, he's taking a long walk off the back of that mound trying to catch his breath. He's saying it's a hot one out here, but he's executing perfectly in his debut for Houston. He's doing a nice job of mixing his pitches, keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate, and going right through this Royals offense, and it's a good one. Just 3 hits.
Fouled away by Alcides Escobar. He is 1 for 2 tonight. Has one of just 3 hits for the Royals against Scott Casimir. It's a good ballpark for a fly ball pitcher, even on a night like tonight.
Sure is. You can't tell her that, though.
It's a good ballpark for a snow cone on a night like tonight. Now that mom she's got to know better. I mean, she has to remember when she was a little girl, right? When you're a little girl, you don't want to, or a little boy, right? You don't want to scoop the ice. You want that straw down there in that sugar juice, right?
Absolutely.
But she wants to be drinking that sweet juice there, and Mom's saying, no, 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 no. A little bit outside, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Pretty close there. Castro wanted it.
Got that call. Well, he's made very, very few pitches in the middle of the strike zone tonight.
Ooh, beautiful location. If you're going to miss over the plate, that's where you miss.
Singleton will circle back and go to the bag, and that is 5 scoreless innings for Scott Kazmir, allowing just 3 singles.
At some point to get George Springer back off of the disabled list. This was the injury that sent him to the DL. Didn't think initially that it was as bad as it was, but as I remember Rex at the time suggested that it probably was worse than they initially said. Fractured right wrist. That's our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Astros 7-9 since. Very dynamic player for the Houston Astros, and a guy that's very involved in their community, and quite the haircut there too. Guys, want to pass on a happy 19th birthday wish to our good buddy Jack Weaver. We see him out here at the stadium all the time. He is a die-hard Royals fan, watches all the time. I guarantee you that he is up on things right now. There he is. We see Jack. We've known Jack for years, back when he was, before a teenager. And I can promise you guys this much too. If the umpires miss a call tonight, he will have a file on them, and he'll try to let them know about it. He is one of the best. Happy birthday, Jack.
Good for him. Happy birthday, Jack.
You love the passionate fans. I'm telling you. Can't sneak a piece of cheese by them.
Well, you know, most people keep scattering reports on players. Jack keeps a scattering report on the umpires.
I like it.
Man, have a night, Jake Marisnick. He's been all over the place in center field. He has 7 putouts in center field, and now he has 2 hits. Had a stolen base and a run scored after a double back in the 4th inning.
Right down the middle. Escobar, nice effort.
That's 11 hits for the Astros in 5+ innings, and now Jose Altuve going the other way, and it'll go back into the crowd. Altuve has hit in 8 straight. Royals had the infield in with a runner at third in the 4th inning, and Altuve hit one that barely reached the outfield grass, but it was perfectly placed with the infield in. Drove in Marisnick, who's at first base now. Very close. Eric Hosmer nods at the Royals dugout, and Don Wakamatsu runs to the phone. Hosmer thought that he had Marisnick. And here comes Ned. So the Royals will use their challenge.
It's Richie Dower over there, first base coach. Tag. Like he got him on the shoulder before he got to the bag.
Umpire on the right is Mark Carlson. He's the crew chief. And on the left is Trip Gibson, who made the call. The angle we've showed you twice. He is out. The angle that we showed you twice looked like Marisnick was out, but I wasn't sure that that was enough for the umpire in New York. Maybe we'll get a little more here.
Quick feet are really special for a pitcher when you have them like Guthrie, but it's the throw and it's the location of the throw that gets the guy at first base. That's perfectly thrown, executed nicely.
And Altuve sends it to center field. CAIN is there to make the play. Royals are 10-6 this year on challenges. And now Preston Tucker comes to the plate. And he is a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. He singled in the first inning, homered in the third. Now it's just a line drive. And then doubled going the other way in the fourth. And he's got 2, if not 3 shots left to hit for the cycle. Only in the 6th inning. Guthrie is at 100 pitches. 1 ball, 1 strike.
If he didn't know it, his teammates sometimes will tell him, hey, look, you just got to get a triple. Toughest one to get, though, they say. Look in the middle of that plate, try to just square it up and hope that you hit a gap.
CAIN is there in center field. So Guthrie faces only 3 in the last 2 innings. And on a tough night for him, giving up 11 hits, he gets through 6. Moustakis, much to the delight of that young lady, will be leading off the bottom of the 6th, which is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Jeannie Bobrink from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Jeannie wins $500. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Royals fans will be thrilled, and Jeannie will win 25 grand from Sonic and the Royals. Royals have 3 singles against Scott Kazmir. Mike Moustakis has one of those, and that was leading off the 4th inning, so he leads off for a second time, and Moustakis did that in the 4th on an 0-2 pitch. Over the inside for strike 1. One ball, 1 strike. Kazmir had a pretty easy first 3 innings. The Royals only had 1 base runner. They had 2 on, 1 out in the 4th, and the leadoff man on in the 5th to put a little heat on Kazmir, but he got through both innings without allowing a run. Here comes Marisnick, and that is his 8th putout of the night. Well, it was the Astros who made the first big move before the trading deadline, getting Kazmir from Oakland for a couple of minor league players. If you go back to June the 6th, Kazmir trails only Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw. Greinke has a 43 2/3 innings scoreless streak. Clayton Kershaw has gone 29 consecutive scoreless innings. And then Kazmir in front of 2 other left-hand pitchers, David Price and Hector Santiago. And now CAIN. Altuve wants it. 2 down.
Well, the fact that Kazmir hasn't had to really work to get his outs as far as striking out guys, he's only struck out 3 guys. So usually when you're a strikeout pitcher, you're expending a lot of pitches to get those guys out. He's had some early contact. You see those low scoring pitching innings there. That's really helped Kazmir with hold his pitch count down, and he's dealing. He's executing, getting some early count outs and not having to do it with the strikeout.
Hey, the Royals have been facing some tough pitching lately. This is the 5th time in the last 6 games that they have faced a starter with an ERA under 3.
And they've been beating up most of them.
Yeah, they're 2-2 against those pitchers. Dallas Keuchel, the Royals will see him on Sunday. Boy, was he good against the Royals, and what a season he's had. He was Ned Yost's starter in the All-Star game this year. 2-1 on Hosmer. There were some teams that may have been scared off by Kazmir, and maybe the A's didn't get as much as they had hoped. They got 2 minor league players, 2 good minor league players, not top prospects, but Kazmir twice this year had to leave a start early because of some shoulder stiffness. Marisnick gives way to Tucker. 3 up, 3 down, 6 scoreless innings for Kazmir, and he hasn't thrown 80 pitches yet. Internet, the U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers, visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day. And as we promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Don't forget to tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KCDataStrongFan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Thank you, Nick, for sending in your photo tonight. 1-1 from Jeremy Guthrie to Carlos Correa, and Guthrie taking one for the team tonight and trying to give the Royals 7 innings. On it, out at first base. Well, tonight is another Buck Night and Friday Night Fireworks, where fans here tonight are stocking up on dollar hot dogs and peanuts for just $1. That's presented by Visit KC. After the game, they'll get a great fireworks spectacular courtesy of Hy-Vee and Pepsi. And our next one is August 7th with the Chicago White Sox in town. Royals.com, 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. That'll also be the night of our Royals Charities broadcast auction, which is always a lot of fun. Gaddis. Stock this nice backhand on a short hop. Evan Gaddis is 2 for 4. Now Guthrie's 1 out away from going 7. Not bad, Hud, for a guy who'd given up 10 hits in the first 4 innings. And the Astros left 7 on base in the first 4 innings, so they were poised to score more than that.
Yeah, you know what? If Guthrie's offense would have had any success against Casimir so far tonight, he'd be keeping his team in the game. But Guthrie is a grinder. He's a guy who's going to battle. He's going to stay right in there. He's got good stuff. Just a little bit in the middle of the plate early in this one. But you're right, for 11 hits, just 4 runs is good.
Colby Rasmus is 1 for 3 with an RBI. An Astros player who's getting more playing time with Springer on the disabled list. Good pitch. Guthrie at the bag, and he does go 7 innings. So a tough night for him, but he finishes strong, retiring 9 of the last 10 Astros.
Way to go, Jay Guts.
League, Detroit and Boston tied at 1, 2 struggling teams. The White Sox blank Cleveland, New York, trailing Minnesota, and Toronto and Seattle will be underway shortly. Our Mazda game break takes us to Minnesota. Michael Pineda getting rocked by the Twins. Meanwhile, Phil Hughes shutting out his former team. That is Miguel Sano deep to center field for his 3rd of the year. Safe to say, Ryan, that John Sterling did not go with Miguel Sano. What do you know?
Well, that rhymes with his Robinson Cano home run call, but yeah, you're probably right. He's some player, Miguel Sano.
He is.
Man. All right. Pitch number 79 from Scott Kazmir. A strike to Kendrys Morales. He has flied to center, flied to right. The fly out to right is one of Kazmir's biggest outs tonight. He's had very little pressure on him. The Royals did have 2 on with 1 out in the 4th inning, and Morales coming up. And that was right after the Astros had scored 2 in the top of the 4th to make it 4-0. But Kazmir got out of that. He has retired 8 of the last 9. Jammed him. And CORREA throws out Morales. Kendrys is 0 for 3. Well, if you're on the road traveling and you want to watch the Royals, subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. You'll get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Strike to Alex Rios. Oh for 2. One of his flyouts to center was a line out. Kazmir's a good story. First round pick in 2002 with the Mets. Traded to the Rays. The Mets didn't think that his body frame could handle 30 starts in the major leagues. He went to the Rays and made his big league debut 11 years ago. Seems like he's been around for a long time, and he has. He was 19 years old when he got to the big leagues with the Rays. As a 22-year-old, he led the American League in strikeouts. Valbuena makes the play. Rios is out. So he was on his way to a great career. 22 years old, leading the league in strikeouts. But just 3 years later, he started to lose his stuff. 25 years old, ERA of almost 6. And by the time he was 26, he was released by the Angels. They owed him over $15 million, but released him anyway. And he had to start all over. He had to go back to an independent league. And it was the Cleveland Indians that gave him a chance in 2013 to be a big leaguer again.
That's a great story of perseverance. And it gives those young pitchers and young players hope. When you have a nice promising start to your career and things don't go right, you can't always listen to everybody when they say you're done or washed up, and it's all about your heart, your desire. You have to keep pushing. You got to believe in yourself. Hopefully you're surrounded by people who will encourage you and not discourage you. He's done it himself. I mean, he's fantastic. And it's a little bit surprising what he's done to the Royals today, considering his last 6 starts against the Royals. His team's at 0-5 with a 4.71 ERA for Kazmir. So the Royals have had their way against him, but he's got a new uniform on now, a new life, and his teammates have got him 4 runs, and which really is not a lot of runs. You figure that ERA is right near 5.
And maybe they're just catching him at the wrong time. He's given up 1 run now in his last 27 innings. So he is on top of his game, to say the least. And Dave Holtzman was reminding us that the 1 run he's allowed in those 27 innings scored after he was removed from the game. Somebody else allowed that run. It was just charged to him. Royals have 3 singles tonight against Kazmir, and Fonte has one of those. Royals have had the leadoff man on in just 3 of 7 innings. And twice that leadoff man never got to second base. That's how good Kazmir has been. He is at 90 pitches. Off the end of the bat, CORREA goes out and makes the play. That is 11 of the last 12 knocked down by Kazmir in his Astros debut.
Still hoping to be able to do that to him. Astros 4-0. Our Mazda game break, Detroit and Boston, as the Red Sox able to tie this one up against Justin Verlander. Definitely a positive, as Verlander has really struggled, but right now they are in extra innings. After the game on Boulevard Royals Live, we'll see if we can talk about the Royals offense if they're able to come back, but right now the story has been Scott Kazmir in his debut. Won't get any easier for the Royals, especially on Sunday. Next 2 games, Scott Feldman faces Danny Duffy. And then the guy that went 8 shutout innings against them late last month, Dallas Keuchel, the All-Star Game starter, against Giordano Ventura on Sunday.
Thank you, Joel. Here is Franklin Morales after Jeremy Guthrie, and his nickname is Jay Guts, and boy, he gutted through 7 innings tonight. Just 1 run over qualifying for a quality start after getting knocked around in the first 4 innings.
Oh no, he grinded. It's nice to see him staying in there in this heat. Battled. That's all you can ask a guy to do for you. When we saw Kazmir in there getting that ammonia water treatment, and I tell you, on a hot night, hot day, there's nothing more refreshing outside of a nice cold glass of water is that ammonia water. They dunk a towel in it, they put ammonia in it, and they put it over your head. The trainer usually does it, and they just let it sit there for a while. You smell that ammonia, you know, it kind of clears your senses a little bit, and it really brings you back.
Luis Valbuena 0 for 2 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There it is.
Just around his neck. I mean, yeah, smothering him with it.
No, and look at him. He's going to massage him around his neck. You know, all that whole thing around your ears and everything. It really brings the guy back and helps you, keep your body temperature down.
Paulo Orlando to the line, straddling the line. It is called a foul ball catch. I was curious when Joel was showing us that Mazda game break what Verlander's line was. He ended up going 8 innings and giving up 1 run to drop his ERA to 5.57.
Man.
Scott Kazmir, what's his ERA now? It started at 2.38 and he's pitched 7 scoreless innings. This is Chris Carter batting for John Singleton. All right, let me do some quick math here. See, 2.38, 7 innings, center 4, carry the 1.
Oh, you're good.
I'm going to say about 2.24. How'd I do? Now Holtzy gave it to me.
You educated.
Did I sell
guys.
that pretty good though?
Yeah, it was awesome. There you go.
2.24 in 19 starts for Kazmir. John Singleton was 0 for 3. He's a left-hand batter, and now Carter hitting for him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Batting at just 187, Chris Carter, with 116 strikeouts. (117 strikeouts). 2 down in the 8th inning.
Doesn't matter righties or lefties, Morales is getting the job done. Good hard slider, fastball, occasional changeups, but that slider and that quick arm stroke he has really can be deceptive to hitters. Doing a fine job. Ned uses him anywhere and anytime.
Now Jason Castro. Curveball is inside.
So, you know, whenever you acquire a player in Kazmir's situation, the Astros players, pitchers, position players, they're all going, uh-oh, who's leaving? Somebody's got to go. So unfortunately for LJ Hose, he was the one who got sent out.
An outfielder. Hosmer will take it himself. Morales comes out of the bullpen and gets the Astros 1-2-3. Kazmir stays put, so his night is over. 7 scoreless innings, and now the game is in the hands of the bullpen as Chad Qualls walks through the bullpen gate. The Royals will continue this series with the Astros. Our coverage begins at 5:30 with Hy-Vee Royals Live. Fox Sports 1 has the A's and the Giants. The Bay Area battle. And that's at 3 p.m. And then later the Braves and the Cardinals at 6 p.m. There are so many categories to look at in explaining why the Astros are so much better this year compared to last year, and maybe none more important with how their bullpen has improved. This will be Chad Qualls in the bottom of the 8th inning with Orlando, Butera, and Escobar coming up. That is a foul ball, just barely. No team in the American League last year had a higher bullpen ERA than the Houston Astros. Well, maybe they called that foul off of his foot. The Houston Astros, if you just go by ERA, and nowadays you have to factor in inherited runners scored, blown saves, but they had the highest bullpen ERA in the American League. Tonight, the Houston Astros are right behind the Royals with the second best bullpen ERA. Brent Strom, former Royals pitching coach. And what a big turnaround for the Astros just on the mound. The Royals are second in the league in overall ERA. The Astros are third. And the Astros are the best in the American League in stranding inherited runners.
Well, you know, you make improvements like that in your bullpen in this modern era of baseball where pins are so valuable. There's the difference. And you got a couple of action players and some power mixed in, scoring some runs. And pretty impressive.
Look at this. In the last 20 years, these are two of the best bullpens, two of the best 5 bullpens in the last 20 years, and lowest on base plus slugging. Orlando down on strikes. Qualls strikes out his first hitter, and Paulo Orlando is 0 for 3.
Qualls is a sinker slider pitcher, and this slider here was a good one. Starts it out on the outer half and ends up off the plate. 3/4 arm delivery, occasional change up, mainly sinker sliders. Royals fans packing the house tonight. Haven't had a chance to let out that passionate roar. Team's just got 3 hits, no runs.
Butera getting the start tonight, giving Salvador Perez a break. And now 0-2. Royals coming out of the All-Star break. When it's all said and done, they will play 18 games in the first 17 days. Their next off day is a week from Monday. So Nedio's finding opportunities to get some of his regulars a rest. Cheslor Cuthbert was called up from the minor leagues today, replacing Dusty Coleman. And with some tough lefties coming up, including Dallas Keuchel on Sunday. Ned wants to be able to give Mike Moustakas, who plays every day, a day off. Cuthbert acquitted himself quite well the first time he was up with the Royals, proved that he could handle this level. He's a right-hand batter. Back-to-back strikeouts for Qualls, and now 2 down in the 8th inning.
Yeah, and he was saying before the game, even if Coleman would have come up with a big hit last night for his first major league hit, they had already decided that they were going to go get Cuthbert anyway.
Remember, Fox Sports Kansas City invites you to join current and former Royals players on the field August 31st for a great event, Diamond of Dreams. You'll enjoy a great menu from local restaurants, live music from American authors, and a fireworks show, and it's all for charity. Buy your tickets now at Royals.com/Diamond of Dreams. Fantastic event.
Great food. Have a chance to walk around the ball diamond.
Alcides Escobar is 1 for 3 with a first inning single. Royals have been so good lately scoring in the first inning, and Escobar, as he has done so often, swung at the first good pitch that he saw and singled in the first. So here we go again. But Scott Kazmir then retired the next 9. And the Royals have only had 4 base runners all night. That's how good Kazmir has been. And now Qualls for a couple of hitters. 2-1 on Escobar.
Scott Kazmir is as good as the Royals have seen him. He answered the call directly 1 day after they traded him. And you know, Rhino, having been sent out many times in my career, I can tell you, whenever you know a move's coming, you're very sensitive to that tap on the shoulder. You might be sitting by your locker, and the manager always sends a coach out, and the coach will tap you on the shoulder and say the manager wants to see you. That's when you go, oh man.
Tough hop Correa. And the Houston Astros have held the Royals scoreless for 8 innings. Qualls 3 up, 3 down. For nothing, and as we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lights. Mizzou night at Kauffman Stadium on a hot night. 93 degrees with the heat index 109. How would you like to put on either the Truman or Slugger outfit tonight?
Better stay hydrated. I wouldn't like it one bit. That's tough work for those guys. Ooh.
Jeremy Guthrie went 7. Franklin Morales pitched the 8th. He'll stay on for the 9th with Marisnick, Altuve, and Tucker coming up. Jake Marisnick's had a heck of a game. He has 8 putouts in center field, and he has 2 hits with a stolen base and a run scored. Houston Astros are going for their 7th consecutive win against the Royals. It's really been a seesaw, one-sided series the past few years. The last 4 series between these two teams have been sweeps. Two and one on Marisnick. 3 balls, 1 strike. In addition to hitting a lot of home runs, the Astros at times will pay the price for those big swings, and they lead the league in strikeouts, but they've done a good job of putting the bat on the ball tonight. They have only struck out 4 times. 3-2. But I remember talking to people with the Astros when we were there in Houston, and they said, you know, yes, we do lead the league in strikeouts, and we probably have to make more contact, but they really feel like that it hasn't been that much of a detriment, that games have been lost because their hitters have been over swinging and striking out instead of trying to make some contact with 2 strikes. Orlando in left field will take care of Marisnick. 1 down in the 9th inning. Morales is faced 4 and retired 4. Royals, of course, are the toughest team to strike out. So polar opposites, these 2 teams in that regard. And the Royals have only struck out 5 times tonight. Jose Altuve drove in a run back in the 4th inning to extend his hitting streak to 8 games.
Well, there was one good thing that brought the Royals fans out of their seats. Another wonderful relay throw. Paulo Orlando to Escobar, who just gunned him out at the plate.
That is a home run in Houston. At Kauffman Stadium, it's an out.
You're right. And that's just not over the wall in Houston. That's way back in the stands.
Yeah. The Crawford boxes, a section of the left field seats that are shallow. You know, I don't want to take anything away from Alcides Escobar's throw. It was perfect, long hop, like you said. But Paulo Orlando made a perfect throw to Escobar, and he threw it to his glove side. He put Escobar in a good position to throw when he received that from Paulo Orlando. If Orlando skips it to Escobar or throws it to his right side, it's a completely different play. And sometimes we as broadcasters give most of the credit to the guy who's the relay man and not the guy who got the ball to the relay man.
It's just the fundamentals that you're able to pick up off the wall that really matter. Now ideally you don't want to crow hop and throw, but you know, Paulo shuffled his feet, but God, that's a long throw. But they all know on that left side of the outfield, if they can just get it to Escobar on the fly with his golden arm, they got a chance at the guy at the plate. Good pitch.
Tucker was a triple shy of hitting for the cycle, and as it turns out, he had 2 shots at it. And he flied to center in the 6th, and he strikes out in the 9th. This will be Tony Sipp coming on for the Astros with a 4-run lead in the bottom of the 9th. straight against the Royals. Scott Kazmir, the newest Astro, making his Houston debut tonight, and here are the sprint cuts of the game.
Yep, they had some rips on him. Their outfield made some nice plays as he's a fly ball pitcher, and that's true to form. He was really good in his Astros uniform making his debut. Solid, keeping him down, mixed all of his pitches well, but really for the most part kept the ball out of the middle of the plate. That's what hitters look for, and if you don't get it there very often, you have a hard time scoring runs. Nice job, Scott Kazmir. 91 pitches.
This will be Tony Sipp. And some left-hand batters coming up, beginning with Mike Moustakas, who has been like a leadoff man tonight. This is the third time he has led off an inning. He is 1 for 3. Led out the fourth inning with a single against Kazmir. One of 3 singles and just 4 base runners against Kazmir in 7 innings.
Sipp's got a good sinking fastball. Slider, changeup.
Two balls, 1 strike. It wasn't just any hit for Mike Moustakas back in the 4th inning. His single was his 98th hit of the year, giving him 1 more hit than all of last year. And this is just game number 95. And now 3 balls, 1 strike.
Royals mounted a rally last night off of Trevor Rosenthal, and they did a nice job. I mean, they hit their way into scoring position, got close, and Moose just missed a base hit up the middle. And they would have won that game had that ball gone through. See if they can start setting it up a little bit.
Full count. Into the left field corner. Tucker is there across the line, and it hits the side wall, and Moustakas is still alive.
Ball had a lot of carry and slice to it.
There's a start. Mike Moustakas with a leadoff walk. We've been telling you the past few nights, the last 2 games in the Pirates series, which the Royals won, and then last night in St. Louis when the Royals nearly won, how good the Royals have been in the 7th inning or later. And talking about how the Royals have outscored their opponents by 47 runs from the 7th inning on. That is the 2nd best mark in the American League. Now a little chat on the mound. Castro and Tony Sipp. Well, the Houston Astros have a flair for the dramatic as well, because the only team that has done better than the Royals is the Astros. They have outscored their opponents by 51. in the 7th inning or later. These are the top 2 teams in the league when it comes to come from behind wins. The Royals have 25, the Astros 24. So they both teams have not only had good seasons, they've had exciting seasons. A lot of runs being scored late. Rasmus was shallow and right. He'll go into foul ground and make the play on the line. That is ruled a fair ball catch. CAIN is 0 for 4, 1 down in the 9th inning. And Sip has given Hosmer a bad time. Eric is 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. You had mentioned, Hud, that home plate umpire Ryan Blackney is a minor league call-up, so one of the regular members of this umpiring crew is getting some time off. He's had a pretty fair strike zone. We've seen very few hitters snapping their head back.
Oh, I think he's done a great job tonight.
Didn't mean to. Correa throws it away, and Hosmer gets caught in no man's land. There is nobody at first base. It is a base hit for Hosmer. And then the throwing error on Correa allows Moustakas to go to third.
That's Hosmer's 16th infield hit. Whenever he chops one, he smells it and smells that hit running really well down that line.
And didn't slide head first. He ran through the bag.
That's nice to see that. He learned to get there quicker, going feet first. Now right here he goes, oh no. Because he thought the ball was going to end up in the dugouts, but then Carter wasn't on the bag and he knew he could outrun him.
So that means the potential tying run is on deck. It makes it a save situation, and Luke Gregerson comes on. He has 20 saves this year. Base runner. Mike Moustakas opened the inning with a walk with 1 out. Eric Hosmer reached with an infield single, and on a throwing error by Correa, Moustakas went to third, and A.J. Hinch is forced to go to his closer, Luke Gregerson, who has 20 out of 23 in save opportunities this year.
He's really good. It makes it tough for hitters to lift the ball on this guy. He's a sinker baller. 87-92, not an overpowering closer. He's got really good action to his slider. Very deceptive windup and slider that breaks straight down, almost like a split finger. Very difficult to get the ball elevated on him.
Fouled away by Kendrys Morales. Last time Luke Gregerson was on this mound was September the 30th of last year. He was pitching for the Oakland A's. He came on in the 8th inning. The Royals were down by 4. Starting to sound familiar. The Royals scored 3 runs in that inning. They all weren't charged to Gregerson, but he was right in the middle of that. The Royals made it a 1-run game. They tied it in the 9th and then won it in extra innings, and that was just the beginning.
Can they do it again tonight? Get him. Ooh. Good, firm, hard sinker. Now Morales is going to get that late breaking slider.
Kendrys has faced Gregerson 3 times. He is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Alex Rios is on deck. Still 0-2. Royals had 1 runner in the first 3 innings against Kazmir. They had 2 on with 1 out in the 4th, and Morales flied out. And that was really the last scoring opportunity the Royals had. And now here we are in the 9th, 2 on, 1 out, and Morales at the plate. There's the slider, and it's still 0-2. Tied with 2 Blue Jays and a Yankee for the league lead with 65 RBIs. Valbuena out at second, and the Astros end the game with a double play. 5-6-3. So the Royals had something going in the 9th inning, but when it's all said and done, it is a 4-pitcher shutout, as the Astros have now won 7 in a row against the Royals, winning tonight 4-0, and that is our player of the game, Preston Tucker, who is responsible for our Chrysler drive of the game. This got the scoring started for the Astros, his 1-out home run in the 3rd inning.
Scott Kazmir was unbelievable tonight. I mean, in his new uniform, the Royals had beaten him every time they faced him. Not tonight.
We'll be right back.